Welcome back to the shop. I have a very quick pop-up project that occurred to me yesterday that I'm gonna try to crank out here very quickly. And the reason being, my son is turning 7 in 15 days. That's not a lot of time, but I think it's enough time for me to be able to do this and just surprise him when we have his birthday party. Like many 7-year-olds, he loves Minecraft. And he loves Minecraft because his friends at school love Minecraft. So even for kids who don't play video games, which mine didn't up until he started going to school and talking to kids about this, even for those kids, they wind up loving what their friends love. I've since gotten the game for him. He plays it from time to time. He does love it. And I'll admit, I've played it before too. It is a fun game. But what I want to do is I want to make a creeper. I don't know why my son loves the creeper, but he does. So what I want to do is make about a 4-foot tall creeper. I want to make this as realistic as I possibly can. And I want to have it at his birthday party. I'm gonna probably do some sort of sign that's coming out of it as well that says happy birthday, you know, 7 years old, blah, blah, blah. I'll figure that part out. Right now what I wanna focus on is getting this creeper built. I have done some research on this. I'm not very familiar with creepers, but I've seen people out there make them out of cardboard. I want it to be a little more permanent, as I might wind up putting it in our basement and make it into something like a lamp, I don't know. So what I did was I picked up a sheet of Luan, a 4x8 sheet of Luan. This is a 1/4 inch, it's 5 millimeters. It's not traditional Luan, it's not made of a hardwood, but it's the thin, it's just what I've always called it. So I've already started to sketch out my cuts. I need to start transferring my cuts onto this sheet and then get them cut. So I at least have my pieces, I can assemble from there. I'm gonna use some furring strips to make a lightweight frame that I just then connect this all together with glue and with screws. So come along with me. I think this is gonna be a really fun project. My son, I know, is gonna love it. And this could be something that you could do with your kids if your kids are into Minecraft and you like doing projects with them. You know, before I go any further, I feel like I need to actually explain what a creeper is. When your son or kids are in school and they start coming home talking about this creeper thing, then maybe this will give you a little bit of context. You see, a creeper is, well, it's a bush. It's a bush that walks around. Actually, it's not really a bush. It's more like a hedge. You know, those hedges that you used to see in World War II movies. But the thing about a creeper is that the creeper explodes. It'll sneak up on you and it'll explode and it'll kill you. So what a creeper is a hedge plus an explosion. It's as simple as that. A hedge plus an explosion equals a creeper. The difficulty of this build is going to be that my shop is an absolute mess right now. It is October and I sacrifice everything for Halloween. So I have boxes and bags that all my Halloween decorations were stored in just beyond the camera here. I need to figure out where I'm going to be able to mark up and cut this sheet of Luan. The cuts for this are very simple. It's just squares and rectangles. I just need to make enough of them. The head is a box, the body is a rectangular box, and the feet are made up of rectangular boxes as well. This creeper is only made up of 4 boxes, the head, the body, and then there's 2 feet. I'm gonna get going on getting my cuts drawn up and then making the cuts so I have all my pieces ready to go to be assembled, and then I'll figure out the frame and assembly from there. I know 15 days sounds like a lot, and quite frankly it is, but this is also 2 weekends from now, not including this weekend, and I don't really get a chance to work on weekends, especially because my kids are home, and again, I want this to be a surprise. So I'm moving faster on these cuts than I'd really like to. This doesn't have to be perfect either, and I'm using the tools that I have at my disposal right now. The edges are a little rough. It's probably hard to tell on camera. I'm gonna sand them, and this whole thing is getting painted anyways. If I need to, I can just fill some in with some wood putty to make it smooth. I probably will have time to do that once I start finishing. But I'm moving through my cut list really nicely. I have that sheet good behind me, it's almost done, and then I can start figuring out how I'm gonna assemble this. Essentially, I'm gonna assemble the 4 different sections of this, the head, the body, and the 2 feet. I'll work out how I'm gonna connect them all together with glue and screws or nails or whatever I'm gonna do. I'm gonna work on that as I go along. So what I wound up doing here, which I neglected to record on camera, the frame is 2 squares that'll go on top and bottom, and then I'll connect it with 4 posts in the middle, and then attach my sheet goods to it. I was using a lot of scrap wood that I had left over. What I did was I ripped it down into very small pieces, and I wasn't precise or exact with any of those. My goal there was to make it as lightweight as possible. And then once I had my pieces at the right width, then I would cut them to length to fit each of the sections of the creeper. I then assembled those cut pieces together and made my frame, and then I attached my sheet goods to the frame with glue and with screws. Turned out really well. Right? For anybody who doesn't know what a creeper is, proportionally I think it's pretty good. I have 2 more boxes to build. Those are for my feet. I have plenty of scrap wood left over for the frame. I've got my sheet goods already done. Once I have those feet done, I'm gonna start thinking about how I assemble this thing. So far, this is working out really well. I have 2 weeks left. Seems like a lot of time. It's not, because when I'm done with this, I gotta fix my imperfections, do some sanding, and then I gotta paint this thing. These creepers they're primarily green with shades of black, different shades of green, maybe some brown. I'm primarily gonna use spray paint and painter's tape. I'll probably get like an inch painter's tape. These creepers, they're pixelated. Everything in this game is made out of squares. I'm gonna use a level probably in painter's tape and then make I don't know, we'll see. I'll get to that part. Anyways, I'm really happy with how this is turning out. All right, so here's where I'm at. So my 18 gauge nails, the smallest I have is 3/4. Because of the frame that I use just being scrap wood, I have some pretty tiny pieces because it's keeping it lightweight. So some of the nails just kind of went through. I snipped those and I filed them down. Honestly, not that it's even really a big deal. This is gonna all be covered up anyways, but I finished that and I have all my boxes assembled. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. The legs are open. Again, I wanted to keep this a little bit lightweight and I ran out of material. That's okay. The only part of these legs that's gonna be seen is the very end, and I have enough to cover that up. So I need to mark and figure out my material that I need for that and get that installed. This is also gonna sit higher, like that. So I need to measure that out, get the legs attached to the body. Once my body and legs are assembled, the last piece I have to do here is paint. And this project's gonna be wrapped up. I know paint's gonna take me a while, but painting is the last step that I have, which is my next step, which is good. And I feel like I'm doing really good on time. As of today, I have 10 days left to get this done. So I'm gonna focus on finishing up the body before I paint. Hopefully I can paint tomorrow. Thankfully, I have a little scrap piece of plywood left over from my attic build because I've gone through all my scrap that I've been using to build this frame. I'm just gonna rip down a couple of small pieces. This will be nice and strong and perfect for finishing up the frame on what I need for these legs. At this point in the build, I wasn't sure how I was going to attach the legs to the frame. I knew that the frame or the body was going to sit higher on the legs, so I'd have less room to be able to attach the legs to the body itself. So what I did was I took some scrap plywood from a leftover project and I ripped it down and I was able to attach it on the inside, giving me about 3 inches of nailer that I could glue and nail those legs to the frame itself. With the pistol to glue in some nails, these feet aren't gonna go anywhere. Now what I did was I ripped down some of that 3/4 inch plywood and I used that as a nailer. So I spanned the gap on my feet and I'm really glad I left the inside of the feet open so I could actually get those nailers in and then get them attached to the body itself. I'm gonna keep the clamps on for about a day. I want that glue to harden. Then I'll take it off and I can stand it up and then position the head and work on getting the head attached. Until then, I have some sanding to do. So I'm gonna sand some of these corners to knock down some of the chip marks from when I cut the sheet goods. And then I'm gonna be ready to paint. I am gonna use some wood putty and fill in those holes. If I don't, it's gonna bother me. I don't think anybody else is gonna see it. I have to let that glue dry anyway, so I might as well let this dry too. Now there are visible gaps where my sheet goods meet. I knew it was gonna happen. I didn't plan this out enough to make my measurements with my frame perfect enough to where those things butted up to each other and I had one end joint. I don't care so much about that at this moment. I'm gonna get this patch, get this thing stood up. If I don't like the way it looks before I paint, maybe I'll get some caulk in those corners. I don't think I'm gonna go that route, but that's just where my head's at right now. I am happy with that. I don't think that could have turned out any more creeper-like. Wow, wow, wow. I puttied the holes yesterday. I sanded them this morning. That looks good. That's all ready for paint. I just got the head attached. Again, I used a pistol to glue and some nails. It fits great. It's not super big to where I can't move it around. Like, it's really not that heavy. I gotta prep that a little bit more. I'm gonna paint today. I did decide one thing. The lid fits pretty snug on there. I'm gonna sand up these edges and I'm gonna make this removable because I have a nice box there. And what I can do is put little gift bags for you know, my son's friends inside there, and then I can take them out of the creeper. I think that'll be pretty cool. But the next couple of days is just gonna be me painting this and the project's gonna be done. And right now, as far as time goes, I'm looking really good. Creeper is ready to be painted. Thankfully, this is exterior paint, but it doesn't really matter and I don't care. The color is gonna be really nice. Getting that guy covered in green will allow me to get the face painted and the feet and then work on taping off so I can do my little individual pixelated squares. So I took some time this weekend and I wanted to figure out how I was gonna paint the pixelated portion of this creeper. I wound up coming up with 2 different ways. One I like a little bit better than the other. And here's what it is. So what I did was I came up with a grid pattern, and I just took painter's tape. I have 1-inch painter's tape, and I made a grid horizontally and vertically, and I spray painted it. And it's a little bit, it turned out a little bit different than what you see here because I wound up fixing this. It was too, I didn't like the way it looked. It didn't look very much like what this creeper looks like from the video game. So I wound up coming back and taped off a couple more of these squares. It made some bigger, it made some longer, and I'm happy with that. I like the way that looks. The second way that I did it was I took my painter's tape and I taped it up there randomly. And this gave me a way to make more random pixelated shapes that didn't look as purposeful, as grid-like. I like the way this turned out as well. Both look really good. Going forward for the body and the legs, I like this one a little bit better, so I think I'm gonna stick with that. Let me show you how I did it, how I went about spray painting it. I have 4 total colors. My base, which is like a hunter green. Then I have more of like a St. Patrick's green, a white. I have brown as well, and I might pepper some of that brown in there. And then what's called moss green. I'm gonna turn this side into my face, so it's gonna get some black pixelation that's gonna make up the eyes and the mouth. The mouth kind of looks like a little mustache. So check it out. Let me show you how I did the taping part, get to painting, and then I'm gonna wrap this up today, maybe tomorrow. Again, just random, and it works out a little bit better this way. I don't have to use as much tape, because as you can imagine, taping this whole thing up in little squares, it winds up being a lot of tape. I'm not concerned with how straight the tape is. I was on the first go around, and it just took me a little bit too long. I'm just eyeballing it. The only thing that I need to point out is that when it comes to the tape, you really want to push it down. There's going to be some bleed through, which isn't concerning to me. I still think it looks good. Not perfect, but I think it's a really great system for this creeper. The paint drips, I just wipe it up. It's really not that big of a deal. If I have some overspray or some drippage, I wipe it, spray paint it again, and it looks good. Again, I'm not going for perfect here. I'm trying to get this done. It is still gonna look really cool. I'm gonna let that dry. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna tape the other side, get that spray painted. I have 1, 2, 3, I have like 4 more sides to do. This should be done well in time for my son's birthday. I can let it dry and then figure out how I wanna, I don't know, display this at the party and what other kind of fun stuff I'm gonna do with it. Overall, I'm very happy with how this turned out. The paint isn't perfect, but I'm also out of time, so I don't have much more time to put into that. I gotta paint the face on, I gotta paint the feet on, and I have one little spot that I have to fix. Even though painter's tape is not meant to peel off your drywall paper or whatever surface it sticks to, it still happens all the time. It happened here. I'm just gonna tape this off, hit it with some spray paint, and it should be good. Now, I have decided to make this side my front. I just like the way the paint turned out a little bit better. So I'm gonna tape off for the face, and I'm gonna tape off for the feet, and I'm gonna spray paint that black, and then this project's done. I gotta figure out how to hide this thing for another day or two until my son's birthday. So I'm gonna do that now and get this project wrapped up. I know it looks like I gave him a Leatherface type mask made out of painter's tape, but what I'm doing is I'm getting his pixelated eyes, square eyes, rectangular nose, and this creeper dude kind of rocks a Fu Manchu. So I just freehanded that with painter's tape and then my Swiss Army knife, and I cut it all out. I did the same for his feet. He's kind of got like 2 feet doing this type thing. So I think this is the last bit of spray paint that I have to do. I'm gonna spray paint this black, let this thing dry, and get it hidden from my son. So while that's drying, let me just take a minute to tell you how much I actually spent on this creeper. The sheet of Luan that I bought was about $20. I think it was $23 to be exact. It was the best one that I could get from Home Depot, so I went with it. It wasn't like it was a ton of money. The frame itself was all scrap wood that I used, so I didn't spend any money on that. I had the nails laying around and I had the tools to build it. I bought 2 cans of spray paint because I had the other 3 already. A can of spray paint is about $7 now, $6.98, somewhere around there. So I built this creeper for technically under $40, somewhere between $30 and $40. So not an expensive project. pretty quick to make. I think all told I have a couple of days in, but you know, I'm bouncing in and out trying to do this and that, getting this thing made in between work and after work. I do need to figure out what I'm gonna do with this thing afterwards. I think the best move for me is make it into a lamp. I might get like a nice globe and set it on top and then wire it to plug it in and put it somewhere in my son's room until he gets bored with it or with Minecraft, and then at that point we just get rid of it. Either way though, this is gonna be really fun, and I know he's gonna love it because he's actually seen it in the garage and he keeps asking me, Dad, is that looks like a creeper, what is it? And I have to tell him a little white lie, and I'm telling him that it's a new tool cart that I'm building. There we have it. This creeper turned out so well. I couldn't be happier. The most important thing is I don't think my son could have been happier. The feeling you have as a parent when you can see the look on your kid's face, and this is the look that I saw on my son's face when he walked downstairs on his birthday and he saw this creeper waiting for him. It's the best feeling a parent can have. He absolutely loved it. His friends absolutely loved it. I brought it to the party. The kids went nuts over it. This was just the best project. I had fun designing it. I had fun making it. It was something a little bit different for me. And that part was really great as well. There's not much to actually do with this thing until I can turn it into something else, like a lamp. So I think that's what we're gonna do. My son really liked that idea. I think a lamp is what we're gonna wind up going with. Either way, very easy project if you wanna do this at home. Cost-wise, it was very inexpensive. And time-wise, it didn't really take that much time either. Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by the shop today. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. I certainly enjoyed making today's video. I had so much fun. If you liked today's video or took anything away from it, I'd really appreciate a like or a subscribe, message, share, tell your friends. It really helps me out in growing this channel. All I ask is that you be safe, be creative, don't lose a finger while doing so. Go out into the world, make it a better place, and don't forget to make today great.